Age excusitis is a failure disease of never being the right age to succeed. It comes in two forms: I'm too old or I'm too young. How many times have you heard someone say, I'm too old to start a new career now, or I'm too young for all that responsibility? In fact, how often have you heard yourself say it? This excuse has closed the door of real opportunity to thousands of people. They think their age is somehow wrong, so they don't even bother to try. And, unfortunately, we live in a society that seems all too ready to reinforce those stereotypes. On any night on TV, you can see old people put out to pasture and young people biting off more than they can chew. The statistics we read in the paper continually tell us how hard it is to find a job when you're 60 or when you're 19. But the fact is, for every statistic and every dramatization of these so-called problem ages, you can find real-life exceptions to the rules. Ronald Reagan was elected president just prior to his 70th birthday. Harlan Sanders was collecting Social Security checks when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Satchel Paige was playing professional baseball well into his 50s. But he didn't talk about his age. On the other end of the age spectrum, Apple Computer was started by two young men in their 20s, and the founder of Federal Express thought up the idea for his express mail service when he was in college. So age is no barrier. It is just an excuse. If you think you're too old to change or too young to accept the challenge, here's a cure.
Look at your present age positively. Think, I'm still young, instead of I'm too old. Remember, you're capable of handling any responsibility you believe you can handle. Second, keep this computation in mind. Most people can expect about 50 years of productive working life, from about age 20 to about age 70. If you're 30, you've still got 80% of that productive life ahead of you. If you're 40, you've still got a big 60% of your working life to go. If you're 50, you've still got 40%, at least 20 years of productivity, and that's plenty of time to succeed. Finally, invest your future time in doing what you really want to do. It's only too late when you let your mind become negative and tell you it's too late. Stop thinking, I should have started years ago, because that's failure thinking. Instead, think, I'm going to start now. My best years are ahead of me. That's the way successful people think.
I don't know if I can do this job. I mean, this is really out of my league. I'm not a genius, you know.
I think the most insidious of all the excuse diseases is intelligence excusitis. It's the feeling that I'm not quite smart enough, or other people know something I don't. Unlike the other maladies we've discussed, people tend to suffer this one in silence. Nobody wants to talk about how dumb they feel, but they feel it deep down inside, and it blocks their road to success. Most of us, you see, make two basic errors with respect to intelligence. One, we vastly underestimate our own brain power, and two, we vastly overestimate the intelligence of other people. Because of these two mistakes, we sell ourselves short, and we fail to take advantage of many opportunities. Some years ago, Dr. Edward Teller, the famous physicist who's called the father of the atomic bomb, was asked what a young person needed to know to become a successful scientist. Teller said, I quote, "A child does not need a lightning-fast mind to be a scientist, nor does he need a miraculous memory, nor is it necessary that he gets very high grades in school. The only point that counts is that the child have a high degree of interest in science. Interest and enthusiasm are the critical factors, not intelligence." Another way of putting it is simply to say it's not how much intelligence you have that counts, it's how you use the intelligence you have. Let me give you another example. I was at a college class reunion a while back, and I met a fellow I hadn't seen for about 25 years. His name was Chuck. He was one of the brightest people I've ever met, and he graduated with honors. The last time I talked to him, he had a goal of someday owning his own business. So when I saw him at the reunion, I asked him, "How's your business going?"
Well, David, to tell you the truth, I never really went into business for myself. You know what I did? I used my college education to become an expert in why my business ideas wouldn't work out. Yeah, I learned all the pitfalls of businesses, all the reasons why you might fail. And, you have to be sure you have plenty of capital, the business cycle is right, you have to make sure there's enough demand for your product, the local industry is stabilized, there's 1,001 things to check out. So here I am today, I'm still auditing freight shipments and just plodding along, working for somebody else, and it's not really doing me a lot of good. And I see friends of mine from high school who went out right after high school and they're doing successful business straight from high school. There's got to be a reason for that.
Do you see Chuck's dilemma? The thinking that guided his intelligence was far more significant than the amount of intelligence he has. If you study the world around you, you'll find a lot of highly successful people with very average IQs. And you'll also find a lot of failures who are brilliant. The difference is one of attitude. What are these people using their brain power for? To defeat themselves or to find ways to succeed? There's one more point I want to make before we summarize the cures for this disease of intelligence excusitis. Another common mistake that people make with regard to intelligence is to equate piles of facts with useful brain power. But it's far more important to use those brain cells for thinking and analyzing than it is for memorizing. Someone once asked Albert Einstein, "How many feet are there in a mile?" Einstein replied, "I don't know. Why should I fill my head with facts that I can find in 2 minutes in any reference book?" Einstein, as usual, was right. You can always find facts. You can't always find good, positive thinking. That you've got to learn for yourself. So here's a cure for intelligence excusitis.
So that brings me to the final step, that it's necessary for us to begin to look at the future and know that it's possible that we can have our dream. Yes, it is. Other people have done it, then we can do it. We fail a lot of times. Well, a lot of other folks fail, and eventually they came back and they succeeded. So it's possible we can have what we want. And we know that we want to get it. It's necessary that we align ourselves with people that think like we do. It's necessary we get negative, do-nothing people out of our lives. It's necessary we never stop learning and growing and developing ourselves. It's necessary that we never give up. We know that it's you, it's me. It's being responsible for our stuff and deciding that we're going to keep on keeping on, that we're going to find a way to win or find a way to make it happen. And we know it's hard. It's not going to be a picnic. Yes, it's hard, and we will do it hard. And once we do it hard and we go through it, we realize it was worth it. And once you discover it was worth it, it is done. It's done. It's done, ladies and gentlemen, before it happens. Well, here's what I'm suggesting to you. That when you're working, you have a wall to break through. Let's say a friend of mine he runs a marathon, and he says, when he's running the 26-mile marathon, he said, let's say that hypothetically, that 18th mile is the wall. He said, Les, when you get there and you're running, he says, everything in you is telling you to stop, to give up. Every muscle is aching, and you're saying to yourself, I can't do it. I can't do it. And you just keep on, and you keep on, and you keep on. It seems like you're moving at slow motion, and then eventually when you break through that 18-mile wall, then you know it's like done, and you're on automatic, and you glide on in, and you know it's there. You know you're going to get to the finish line. And we've all had experiences where we were working on something, and we knew it was possible, and we did those things that were necessary to bring it into reality. We took the responsibility to make it happen. Other people couldn't see it. A lot of people didn't believe it. You were attacked. You were criticized. People were opposing you, but you kept on doing it. It was hard. It was rough. It was difficult. But to you, it was worth it. And eventually you got to a level you know, can nothing stop me now. I'm on the move. I'm on the move.
I recommended the last time I was here the little book, Richest Man in Babylon, and I said I've lectured now to over 3 million people in the last 33 years, and I've recommended this little book to almost all of them, I think. Guess how many have actually gone and got this little book? Answer, very few. My best guess is 10%. Such an easy thing to do. In that last seminar, right, I suggested this little book, number one, is easy to find. Number two, it's easy to buy. The most you can pay for it, $6, $7, $8. You can borrow that from your kids. And number three, it's easy to read. It's in story form. That's why I use it for teenagers, teaching them how to be rich by 40, 35 if you're extra bright, much sooner if you find a unique opportunity. But if it's easy to find and easy to buy, and if it's easy to read, why wouldn't everybody go get it? We don't know. What do you know? You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Here's how profound it is. Some do and some don't. Now here's the numbers. About 10% do. 90% don't or won't. We don't know the mystery of that. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, those numbers will still be the same. 10% will, 90% won't. The numbers don't change. Only the faces change. You're looking at one of the faces. I used to belong to the 90% who couldn't be bothered even if it was easy. Guess how many people have a library card? Wisdom of the world available. Transform your life in any value amount you want. By the way, how much is a library card in Texas? Free. Here's what free is. Easy. I mean, it can't be any easier than free. Somebody says, well, would you bring it by? Well, no. At least you got to go get it. No. Wisdom of the world available. Transform your life spiritually, socially, personally, economically, and every other way. Teach you how to be rich and powerful and sophisticated and healthy, influential. How many people have a library card? Answer, 3%. 95, 97% couldn't be bothered. Guy specializes in happy hour, but he doesn't have a card. And now readily and quickly blames the government, and blames his company, and blames policy, and blames the pay scale. When if he only knew, if he joined the 3%. Here's my advice to you today. Walk away from the 97%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't act like they act. Don't go where they go. Don't specialize in what they specialize in. Throw away the blame lists they cling to. Start you a new life. You say, well, is it as simple as getting a library card and join the 3%? And the answer is, of course. Of course. That's how easy this stuff is. This is so easy. It's so simple. It's not complex. You don't need a 2,000-year-old guru. You don't need multi-track affirmations. I'm telling you, don't. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. Key. Don't let somebody sweep you into some contrary way to nature itself says, unless you labor. The miracle of the seed and the soil and the seasons and God and all the other stuff that's available, sunshine and rain, that's not available to you by affirmation. It is only available to you by labor. So labor well. Learn well. Discipline yourself well. You can have all the treasures you want. This stuff's easy and simple. It's not ocean waves and seagulls. You don't have to move to Sedona where all the force fields come together in Arizona.
Well, when you make the decision to be successful, like I said earlier, and you have to expect there's going to be trouble. Life, okay, how can I say this to you? Listen to me. Life is 10%. Life is 10% what happens to you. It's 90% what you do about it. See, life is going to happen to all of you. I don't care who you are. You're going to lose a loved one. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be told no. You're going to fall. You are going to fail many times to become successful. It is a part of success. It is the process. You have to fail in order to be successful. That's the way it works. There's no other way. Listen to me. For 30 years, I made a lot of money telling jokes. I write jokes. Me, I don't care what you say. When I want to be funny, that is my God-given gift. I can be funny. But listen to this, though. I done wrote a lot of jokes that wasn't funny. I have written some stuff that I thought was hysterical in my house. I was writing, I went, boy, when they hear this, they're gonna be screaming, yes! Went out on stage that night, did the joke, nothing. I mean nothing. I have written more jokes that did not work than actually worked. I have failed far more times than I have ever succeeded. Okay, see, let me show you. Okay, check this out. Okay, listen. Michael Jordan, who is like really the greatest basketball player of all time, right? Michael Jordan has taken 985 game-winning shots. That means before the buzzer, Jordan has raised up 985 times to try to win the game. Michael Jordan has only made 145 of them. He has shot the ball 980 some times to try to win the game. Michael Jordan has only made 140 game-winning shots. You don't care nothing about the failure. You don't know nothing about the 800 times he missed. But oh, you cheer and clap for the 145 that went in. You see, that is how it works, man. That is the magic of how it works. They're only going to write about the victories. They only laugh at the jokes I write that's funny. You don't even know the jokes I wrote that didn't work because I stopped telling them. But you laugh at the movies and the YouTube clips, and God has made me famous and I don't even know. I don't even know how. I just dreamed of one day becoming globally. You know what? Let me tell you. I asked God to, about 10 years ago, I told God I wanted him to increase my global brand and persona. I wanted to be more global. I didn't want to just stay in the United States. I wanted to go see the world. I wanted people around the world to know of me. So God began to change me. So he said, you will have to be more than just funny in order for this to happen. So I did not know that my motivational tapes, the stories I've told about my life would go on a platform called YouTube, because 10 years ago, what was YouTube? I didn't know. I just started telling my story, and they started putting it on YouTube and Facebook, and people started finding out more of who I was. So when I was asking God to increase my global brand and persona, I had no idea how he was going to really do it. Until 2015, they hired me to become the host of the Miss Universe pageant. That was God.
And by the way, I'm getting better and better and better at my craft. The larger numbers I run, the more I get more proficient at my message, the more I learn to close better. You with me on that? All right, so let's get to some keys, and then I'll show you some stuff. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I need to convince you. Some of you, Sam said, hey, not everybody there knows you. That's totally cool. This is a new market for me. All the stuff I sell is free. I spent the first 45 years of my life being blessed by great mentors, great guidance, great information. I decided I'm going to spend the last 45 years of my life, the second 45, helping other people build their dream. How many of you have a big dream you want to make come true in your life? Something special you want to do? Okay. Me too, and I got bigger ones. Let me tell you what everybody's dream is. Put in your note. I don't care if you sell pest control, security, solar, insurance. I don't care what it is. Guess what they want? You ready? And guess what you want? You want to be happier. You got to link everything to people's happiness. You think that's ridiculous. So I'm going to kill some termites. They're going to be happier. Yep. They think if you did pest control, at the end of the day, the greatest influencers get the people want to be happier. All of you want to be happier. You think if I become a millionaire, I'll be happier. If I get that baller jet, I'll be happier. If I'm making 100 grand, I'll be happier. If I lose 30 pounds, I'll be happier. If I protect my family with security, my family will be happier. People want to be happier. You think, well, maybe that applies to other businesses, but not mine. Really? You already aren't coachable. Listen to someone who's built some of the largest sales organizations. I built sales organizations, medical, financial. I built them in the retail space. I understand building teams. I understand persuasion. Everything is linked to people's happiness. You know why NBA players are playing basketball? They think if they make more money, take care of the mama, win some NBA championships, everybody will be happier. Every human does something to be happier. There's this dude who sold more hamburgers than anybody in the world. What's his name? Anybody know? Ray Kroc. He's also, his organization, most people don't know this, is the largest holder of acreage real estate on earth. He owns the most real estate in the world selling hamburgers. Guess what? He didn't sell hamburgers because his hamburgers suck. You know what he sold? Happiness. Happiness. He got creative. What does a hamburger have to do with being happy? Absolutely nothing, except he created an environment where people wanted more hamburgers. People want to get recruited into teams to be happier. They think it's making money, but that's the symptom. The disease is they want to be happier. If you keep selling money all the time to people, just money, you're not going to have a very good team. But if you sell happiness, recognition, travel, success, income, all those things, that's what people want. What people want in every area of life is to be happier. You know what Ray Kroc's mascot is for hamburgers? A clown. A clown. Do you know what his #1 selling meal is called? The what? Happy Meal. Turns out I'm right, huh? Turns out I'm right. This dummy knows a little bit about selling, a little bit about influence. All these dudes you see in here that are hardcore with their hats on, these stud dudes in here, they want to be happier. You know what I know? When I was 21 years old and I started in this business, I wanted to be happier. You know what I want right now? I want to be happier. You know what I want in 20 years? To be happier. You know what I want for my family? Them to be happier. And I will buy products and join organizations that make me think I can be.
was talking to my trainer the other day. We were working out in my backyard, and he was wearing my out, man. And I sat down on the wall, and I said, man, I'm struggling today. This is hard. And my trainer's a younger guy. And he said, what do you mean? I said, man, this workout is hard. He said, no, man, this is hard. He said, how you came from a poor kid in the projects to this house you got in this neighborhood and the TV star, he said, that's hard. And I had to catch myself, because working out ain't near as hard as the struggle to get where you want. And everybody in this room wants two things. Everybody wants to be successful, and everybody wants to be happy. I'm going to tell you something about that. That happiness and success is available for every last one of you. But I'm going to tell you what you're going to have to do. You got to change your mindset. If you're planning on being successful, you have to change this here. The difference between successful people and non-successful people is right here. It ain't no difference. It ain't none. I ain't got no more than none of y'all got. God gave me the same thing he gave y'all. God loved me the same as he loved all y'all. He don't love me more than he loved you. But you have got to change your mindset. You got to get funky if you want to be successful. If you think that they're going to mail this money to your house, you're dead wrong about that. If you think they're going to pave the way for you and make it easy, you're dead wrong about that. If you want to be successful, you got to change your mind, and you're going to have some faith. If you ain't got no faith, if you ain't got no relationship with God, you finna make this thing way harder than it's got to be. And I'm flat out tell you that right now.
When a negative thought comes, erase it and replace it. It's not enough to just not think negative, because once you dismiss it, once you make that decision, I'm not dwelling on that. I'm not letting that worry in. That's good. The problem is, it'll come back in a few seconds. Once you erase the negative, replace it with a positive thought. Don't leave your mind empty. The thought comes, nothing good's in your future. Dismiss it. Don't give it the time of day. Then take the next step. Father, you promised the path of the righteous. My path is getting brighter and brighter. You said my latter days will be better than my former days. When the thoughts come, this problem's too big. The opposition too strong. You'll never get past it. You can let that play and live defeated, discouraged, intimidated, or you can replace it with what God says. Father, you said when the enemy comes against me one way, you would defeat them and cause them to flee 7 different ways. And yes, this may be too big for me, but I know it's not too big for you. Or how about when these never lies come? Lies that tell you you'll never get well, never meet the right person, never get out of debt. Don't let that play in your mind. If you do, you're defeating yourself. That's keeping you from seeing God's favor. Erase it. That's the first step. Not dwelling on that anymore. Then take the next step and replace it. Father, thank you that what you started in my life, you will finish. What I'm up against is not permanent. I know this too shall pass. Breakthroughs are coming. Healing is coming. Freedom is coming. Victory is coming. Get your mind going in the right direction, and your life will go in the right direction. You're going to draw in what you're constantly thinking about. If you're thinking can't do it thoughts, I'm not enough, this problem's too big, you're drawing in defeat. That's making you weaker. Your gifts are being pushed down. Your faith is being diminished. Why don't you try erasing and replacing? How much further will you go? How much happier will you live? How much more of God's favor will you see if you'll guard your mind? If you'll be selective in what you're dwelling on? If you'll keep it stayed on Him?
You think you're going to be successful without God? Let me ask you something. How that's working out for you? I am here to tell you that you can come from nothing and become something. But you're going to have God. Now, you can come up with another way, but there ain't a book out there on the market how to make it without God. It's 1,000 books about faith and how to make it with God. You're not going to make it without it. You can short circuit your ticket by just putting some faith in God. The two most important days of your life is the day you're born and the day you discover why. All you have to do is uncover this gift that God gave you at birth, the one that he created in every living soul. He never created a person that he didn't give a gift to. All you got to do is uncover that gift that he gave you and start using it. The Bible says your gift will make room for you. Have got to make some decisions in your life. But you got to tie it to this gift. Your gift is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. That's your God-given gift. He didn't hide it from you. He didn't put it under the rocks. He didn't hide it in the ocean. You don't need no map to find it. God put it right here when he made you. All y'all are gifted at something. The Bible says your gift will make room for you and put you in the presence of great men. That's a scripture. That ain't a theory of mine. See, I ain't got but one gift. I have the ability to take information and transpose it into comedy immediately. I don't even have to think about it. I don't even have to, it's just what I do. I don't practice it. It just come natural to me. You've seen people who open their mouth and they just sing. They can just sing. And I don't care how hard you rehearse, you can't sing like that.
Too many times we're trying to do things only in our own strength, our own intellect, our own ability. That's going to limit us. God can see things that you can't see. He knows the right people who should be in your life. He knows where the danger is, where the dead ends are. God knows how to catapult you into your destiny. You have an advantage. Are you taking time for your daily bread? Sometimes we rush out of the house. I'm in a hurry. I don't have time today, Joel. I got to get to work. I live by this principle. Never meet with other people before you meet with God. If you'll take time to acknowledge God, say, God, I need you today. Lead me, guide me, keep me on the right path. Not only will your day go better, but God will keep you from making mistakes.
The joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. So when you get down and you start thinking about how dark it is, I want you to remember everything your mother taught you that was good. And that replaced all the negative thoughts I was having. Because joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. Well, now, you got to take that concept and apply it to your life. If joy and depression cannot reside in the same place, when you get depressed and you get discouraged, you got to replace it with joy. And what more joyous than gratitude? What has God done for you? Didn't you wake up today? Ain't you still breathing? Don't you have some measure of health? Ain't you working? You may not have the car you want, but don't you have a car? Ain't you eating groceries today? You ain't homeless. Now, when you start tripping and you get depressed, you got to go into yourself and come up with some gratitude. Once you get grateful, you can't be discouraged and grateful at the same time. You cannot do it.
It's time to do some house cleaning. You need to evict some tenants that have been living in your mind. The good news is you're in charge. They may seem bigger, stronger, more powerful, but you determine what stays in your mind. You need to tell fear you're evicted. You're not welcome here anymore. I'm not living afraid of what might happen. My future is in God's hands. Nothing can stand against Him. You need to tell worry, you've been with me long enough. Sorry, you've lost your lease. Tell doubt, your time is up. Got some new rules, you have to go. Tell insecurity, sorry, no more place for you. You're out of here. See you, I'm not going to be you. All that negative that's weighing you down, limiting your future. Why don't you serve some eviction notices? Keep your mind positive, hopeful, full of faith, expecting good things, believing to overcome, trusting God to do what only He can do. Here's what I've learned. When your mind is filled with the positive, there's no room for the negative. When you're full of faith, praise, gratitude, believing for the best, when the negative comes, you don't even answer the door. You don't pay it any attention. Fear knocks, but there's a no vacancy sign. Can't they hear me? No, this mind is full of faith. Complaining knocks, discouragement, sorry, no vacancy. This mind is full of praise. Father, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for fighting my battles. Thank you for surrounding me with your favor.
The biggest thing that always troubled me was my imagination. Because it was so big when I was a kid. You know, I grew up poor, but I was always imagining stuff. You know, my mama, once a month, would buy a travel magazine at the grocery store. My father used to be so pissed off. Bill, why we spending this money? Because we were poor. She said, Slick, we ain't got no money to take this boy nowhere. But if he can look in these magazines, maybe one day, it'll cause him to want to travel. I've been to so many countries around the world because of that magazine. I just wanted to go see stuff. My mama had enough sense to plant that seed in it. It's like at Christmas time, we used to get in the car, and my daddy used to take us to the suburbs so we could see the lights. And you know, we just drove around the lights. I was amazed at the suburbs because I would see these big houses with horseshoe driveways where you drove in and came out the other side. You know, in the hood, you pull in the yard and you back your ass back out. I did not understand who the hell that made these driveways where you can go in one side and come out the other. So I told my daddy one time he was riding, I said, Daddy, why don't we get one of them houses? He said, boy, I ain't got no money for that, but that's what I'm bringing you out here for. He said, one day you'll be able to get one of them houses. Let me explain something to you. Because of that right there, I've probably had in my lifetime now about 11 homes. I got 4 now in different states. Every house I own got a horseshoe driveway on. If the house ain't got no horseshoe driveway, I don't want it. Because I could not understand why we was backing our ass out this driveway. When they was living, they told me one time, they was sitting up watching TV. My daddy looked at my mama and said, Bill, he called my mama Bill, he said, can you believe that this little boy we had on TV? She said, Slick, I can't believe this. I used to send my daddy $5,000 a week. You know, when I first got on TV, I was making $55,000 a week, so I sent my mom in there $5,000 a week. When I got into Kings of Comedy, my father was still living. I showed my daddy one time how much money I made. He said, boy, it take me 4 years to make this kind of money. So I was able to give them something with my life. I always wanted God to just lift me up, so before my mom and them left this world, I could give them something. I bought them everything, man, houses, cars, furniture. I bought them everything I could think of. Try. And you know what's crazy, man? I'm 62 years old. I still want them to be proud of me. I'm still hoping that they in heaven watching me. And they see me turn into someone. That's all I ever wanted. It was in my imagination to take care of them. Everything that's in your imagination, God gonna make it come true for you. You just got to believe that. God make dreams come true. He take poor kids with speech impediments and put them all over TV. He take drug dealers and turn them into doctors. If God can do that for me, explain to me how he can't do it for you. You just got to believe, man. Don't ever give up and keep believing, because God is real. Don't you listen to nobody telling you God ain't real. They done lost their ever-loving mind. God is more real than anybody I know. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't even be here today.
It's easy to go through life thinking of all the reasons why we can't be successful, why we won't get well, why we'll never meet the right person. We look at our situations in the natural and think the odds are against us. I talked to a man that struggles with an addiction. He said, Joel, my dad had this same addiction. My grandfather struggled with it. The odds don't look too good for me. But as long as you think the odds are against you, you'll get stuck where you are. You have the most powerful force in the universe breathing in your direction. God has crowned you with favor. He has armed you with strength for every battle. He wouldn't have allowed that difficulty if he wasn't going to turn it around and use it to your advantage. The odds may be against you, but the Most High God is for you. He is a supernatural God. He parts Red Seas. He turns water into wine. He opens the eyes of the blind. Your circumstances may look impossible, but the God who can do the impossible is working behind the scenes, arranging things in your favor, turning negative situations around. Since God is for you, that means the odds are for you. Don't go through life thinking, not me, Joel. I come from the wrong family. The odds are against me. No, turn it around. I've been born into a new family. My Heavenly Father controls the universe. I have royal blood flowing through my veins. When you know the odds are for you, you'll put your shoulders back. You'll carry yourself with confidence. You'll expect to do great things. All through the day, this should be playing in our mind. The odds are for me. I'm destined to accomplish my dreams. I'm destined to overcome this challenge. I'm a child of the Most High God. But don't be surprised when you find yourself in situations where it feels like the odds are against you. You don't see a way out. There aren't any logical solutions. God puts us there on purpose so that when He turns it around, nobody will get the credit except Him. Everyone will know it is the hand of the Lord. When your circumstances seem impossible, instead of being discouraged, God, why me? No, get ready. You're in perfect position for God to show out in your life. He is setting you up to show His favor in amazing ways. That's what happened to a man in the scripture named Gideon. The Midianites and two other armies came against him. They were about to attack the Israelites. Gideon sent word to his men to come and fight. 32,000 warriors showed up. Gideon was feeling good. That was several times more men than his opposition. He liked those odds. But just when he was about to attack, God said, Gideon, you have too many men. If you defeat the Midianites, you'll think you did it in your own strength. He instructed Gideon to let everyone go home that was afraid. 22,000 men left. Gideon nearly passed out. 2/3 of his army went home. He didn't like these odds anymore. When he thought it couldn't get any worse, God said, Gideon, you still have too many. He told him to do something else to eliminate more men. 9,700 men left. Gideon only had 300 men to fight this army of thousands and thousands. These odds seemed impossible. Looked like he would be wiped out. What Gideon didn't realize was God wasn't setting him back, He was setting him up. He was about to show out in his life. Gideon and those 300 men went to the enemy's camp in the middle of the night. They blew their trumpets and let out a loud shout. The Midianites got confused and began to fight among themselves. The Israelites defeated them. They didn't have to lift one finger. They didn't even have to go to battle. It looked like a setback, but the truth was God was setting Gideon up. He was putting him in position to show himself strong. When the odds seem like they're against you, the obstacles look bigger, stronger, more powerful, don't worry. Like Gideon, it is a setup. God is about to make things happen that you could never make happen. He's going to turn that situation around without you having to go to battle. He's going to heal you without the extensive treatment. He's going to promote you without all of the qualifications. Keep the right perspective. The odds are for you. You may feel like the underdog, but you and God are a majority. You don't need everyone to be for you. You don't have to have all the support, the encouragement. You have the one that matters. The Most High God is breathing in your direction.